All right, kiddos, last day of the last holiday concert. Listen to the story. You have some questions to answer over chapters 20, 21, and then a small little quiz over 15 through 21. I believe there might be some questions on some chapters before that as well. Chapter 20, Peace. On the evening of December 22nd, Palmer Intermediate School was packed. More than 400 parents and teachers and relatives had come to the holiday concert. Beginning promptly at 7 p.m., the 6th grade band performed their selections well, and the applause rang out long and loud. The 6th grade orchestra struggled a bit with Mozart, and then had a real wrestling match with Beethoven. But in the end, it was good music and good education, and again, applause filled the auditorium. Following the instructions on their program sheets, the crowd went to the cafeteria, enjoyed their intermission refreshments, and then began following the signs leading to the old gym. Some of the families with younger children went home after intermission, and some families with no kids singing in the chorus left too. But more than 300 people found their way to the second half of the concert. The 6th grade chorus was ready. A corner of the area outside the gym had been decorated to look like the USO Hall, a place soldiers can visit when they're away from home. There were red, white, and blue streamers all over, and big banners. Peace, peace, the wars are over. Everyone is going home for the holidays. Free show tonight. A small stage made out of risers had been set up in the corner, and a group of kids from the chorus, including Ed Farley and 3 other goofers, were dressed up like soldiers, standing there watching the show. And the show was Carl Preston in his full magician's costume. During the intermission, he performed his card tricks, plus 4 of his best magic routines. The little kids loved it, and so did Carl's grandfather. As the crowd worked its way past the show in the foyer and entered the gym, people took their seats quietly. It would have been rude to talk because on the stage at the end of the gym, Shannon and Olivia were performing the dance of the Marzipan Shepherdesses. The lights above the stage threw the reddish glow into the girls as they danced. The music was bright and festive, but peaceful, which was the idea, and even Tom Denby would have had to admit that the girls looked graceful and talented, beautiful too. The dance was only about 3 minutes long, so they performed the entire dance 4 times before the whole audience had arrived, and then they bowed for their applause. When the hallway was empty and the ballerinas had taken their final bows, the curtain closed and the lights began to dim. The old gym fell into darkness, lit only by the faint red glow of the exit signs. From far away out in the echoing hallway, a deep bell rang, dong, 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 and the audience hushed, straining to hear the distant sound. As the bell in the hall kept ringing, another one with a different tone began to toll from behind the curtains on the stage, and then a third bell began to chime from the far corner of the long room, way up on the bleachers near the ceiling. A 4th bell, hidden in the utility closet along the east wall of the gym, added its voice. The bells got softer and the curtain opened. Hundreds of glittery stars seemed to hang in midair above the children on stage. The 6th grade chorus took 3 steps forward, waited for one chord from the piano, and then began to sing. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. The chorus continued humming the tune, and a single spotlight swung toward the side of the stage and focused on Carolyn Payton. She read from a paper, squinting into the brightness as she stepped to the microphone. This year, the chorus got to choose its own songs and make its own decorations and come up with its own ideas. And we chose one simple idea as the theme of our concert. A very important idea: peace. The holidays are a time for traditions. Some holiday traditions go back thousands of years, like Christmas and Hanukkah and Ramadan. Some holiday traditions are newer, like Thanksgiving and Kwanzaa. But old or new, all over the world, holiday traditions bring us closer to our beliefs and closer to our families. Holidays remind us that every family wants to live and worship in freedom and peace. Peace. That is what families everywhere hope for, and that is why our chorus program has a special name this year. As the huge banner unrolled above the front of the stage, Carolyn said, Welcome to Winter Hope. The piano hit a chord, the chorus split left and right, and in the brightly lit center of the stage, 4 tall panels of cardboard rose up from the floor. A Christmas tree painted on one, a gold menorah on the second, a silver crescent on the third, and a black, red, and green kinara on the fourth. We wish you a happy holidays. We wish you a happy holidays. We wish you a happy holidays and a happy new year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for the holidays and a happy new year. Applause burst out, and as it died down, Ross stepped to the microphone. If there was no hope for peace, would we walk around saying happy holidays to each other? And without peace, would there be any happy songs at all? What if Jingle Bells had been written in a time of war? The lights faded as a murky blue, and the chorus limped slowly along the stage, moaning the words like Mr. Minart played, while Mr. Minart played the tune in a minor key. Things are bad, nothing makes me glad. All the news is scary, and I don't know where my dad is. I'm so sad, I don't want to play. If the war was over, I would have a better day. The spotlight came up on Ross again. But the song was written in a time of peace, and it's filled with fun. So here's the real Jingle Bells, and it's a sing-along. The words of the song flashed onto a screen on the wall beside the stage. And as hundreds of people began to sing, the side doors opened, and into the gym burst a one-horse open sleigh, a child's wagon transformed by cardboard and paint. Tom Denby wore a plastic horse's head and tail made of frayed rope. He trotted up and down the aisles in rhythm to the music, pulling the sleigh and whinnying at random intervals. And riding to the sleigh was none other than Tim Miller, dressed up as Elvis, who was dressed up as Santa without a beard. Elvis swung his hips and sang at the top of his lungs simultaneously, blasting metallic twangs from a real electric guitar and a portable amplifier that was hooked into the wagon with bungee cords. Tim as Elvis as Santa was a huge hit. During the sing-along, Hart was standing in his favorite concert spot, the back row of the chorus. The kids had wanted him to be like the director and stand out front during the songs. He had refused. There was enough to worry about without having to look stupid and pretend he knew how to direct a chorus. The words to Jingle Bells were coming out of his mouth, but Hart's mind was flopping all over the place, whispering to itself, trying to remember 100 things at once. So, next comes the Shalom song. How's the tune go? How's it go? Oh yeah. Then the dreidel stuff, and it's a round. My group first, then Billy's, or is it his first? Wait, no, Shalom is the round. Which? And the batteries, did Dad get them? Because 50's not enough. And the lights, because that means, or does the dreidel song come next? As muddled as it was inside Hart's head, out in the hall, behind the stage, it was worse. The 2 kids inside the big dreidel costumes had been practicing their spinning, and one of them had just spread a good part of his dinner all over the floor. No one could find the custodian, and a mom and dad were trying to manage the emergency cleanup with tissues and a bottle of spring water. Colleen, the stage director, had 3 different little walkie-talkies clipped to the front of her sweater. One to talk to the kid running the spotlight, one for the kids moving props around the stage, and one to keep in touch with Mr. Minart. She grabbed one of them and said, Mr. Minart, one of the dreidels just threw up. Play an extra verse of Jingle Bells. To the sing-along went on a little longer, and no one seemed to mind, especially Tim Miller. Most of Hart's worries were unnecessary. Shalom Shavarim began as Jenna explained the connection between Hanukkah and the hope for peace. Hart loved the song. It had become his favorite during the rehearsals because the chorus sang it as a 3-part round. There was such a simple dignity to the melody all by itself, but by the time Hart joined in singing with the 3rd group, the full effect of the harmony and the interwoven strains was so beautiful, so powerful, and so real. Up on stage, facing the audience, filled with his family and his neighbors, Hart was glad to be in the back row when they sang Shalom Shavarim. And he was glad there were so many other kids singing because he felt his throat begin to tighten up. The music, the harmony, the way the whole concert was flowing along, it all filled his heart in a way he never felt before. Then I Have a Little Dreidel celebrated the lighter side of Hanukkah, and the big spinning dreidels got everyone laughing, except one small child in the front row who announced for all to hear, Something smells like spit up. After the dreidels took their bows, all of the students in the chorus walked off the stage. Single file, halfway down one side of the gym, half down the other. When they had surrounded the audience, each about 4 feet from the next, the lights dimmed a little, and Mr. Meinert hit one soft chord on the piano. With no introduction, the chorus began to sing. O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in thy dark streets shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. When the spotlight came up on Allie Marston, she read from a single sheet of paper. What are the hopes and fears of all the years? Maybe the hope is our hope for peace, and maybe the fear that real peace will never come to the earth. When the angels came to the shepherds near Bethlehem, they sang, O earth, peace, on earth, peace, goodwill toward men. This year, right now, that is our hope. We share it with you. The room went completely dark. Mr. Meinert played a short introduction on the piano, and at the front of the gym, one girl turned on a flashlight and aimed it at her own face. It was Janie Kingston, and she sang the first 2 lines alone, her voice high and sweet. As more and more children joined the singing, each one lit a light. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God our Creator, children are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. The piano played through the melody of the first 2 verses again, and 70 flashlight beams turned upward and met in the center, high above the audience, and into the brightness, with wings of gold and a silver gown, an angel descended. It wasn't Lisa Morton, it was a doll she and her mom had made. Lisa's dad and big brother were up in the bleachers, controlling it with a system of pulleys and fishing line. As the angel began to fly a slow, graceful circle above the audience, all the flashlight beams followed, and the singing resumed. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The chorus repeated the last 2 lines, and when it got to the words with me, Janie sang them alone, and then 10 other kids on the other side of the audience repeated with me, and then 10 more sang it again. And it went on through 6 repetitions until the whole chorus sang the words one last time, with me. The lights came up, the chorus took a bow, and then the entire audience, every mom and dad, every grandmother and grandfather, aunt, uncle, neighbor, and friend, they all jumped to their feet and began to applaud. The applause went on for 1 more minute, and then 2, not wildly, not with hooting and stomping, but with deep feeling and plenty of dabbing of the corners of the eyes. The applause went on because all the people knew they had just seen something extraordinary, and because they all knew that if they stopped clapping, the concert would be over, and no one wanted it to end. Mr. Meinert did not want it to end either. He sat on the bench behind the piano. He did not stand, and he took no bow, but he did look out and catch his wife's eye as she stood there in the 4th row, tears running down her cheeks. He smiled, and so did she, and he knew that now Lucy Meinert understood. She understood why he hadn't quit, why he would always believe that there is a future in teaching. The applause finally stopped. Hart Evans found his parents and endured a big hug from his mom. His sister Sarah made a face as she handed him a copy of the program. Why does it say 6th grade chorus, Hart Evans, director? Hart shrugged. Probably a joke, but he carefully folded the program and put it in his back pocket. His dad grabbed Hart's hand and shook it. That was the best concert I'd ever seen. Hart Evans, director, it's no joke. I am very proud of you. Hart smiled, but he didn't know what to say, and he felt his face getting red. His dad came to the rescue. What do you say we all go out for some ice cream? Hart said, yeah, great. Then he turned quickly, looking for Mr. Meinert. He couldn't spot him. Listen, I've got to go backstage for a second. Be right back. Mr. Meinert wasn't on the stage or in the hallway behind it. Hart saw Colleen and trotted over to her. Colleen, nice job. Colleen smiled and said, thanks, you too. You see Mr. Meinert? Colleen pointed. He went that way with a stack of music, probably going back to the music room. Hart took off down the hallway. When Hart peeked in the doorway of the music room, Only one row of lights was on. Down at the front of the room, Mr. Minart was standing at his desk, staring with a cardboard file box. Hart paused. It was something about the way the guy stood there, leaning slightly forward, both hands on the back of his chair. Hart felt like he was interrupting. He knocked on the door frame anyway. Mr. Minart jumped a little, but when he saw it was Hart, his face broke into a big smile. "Mr. Minart, can I come in?" "Sure," he said. "What a great concert, Hart. Really. One of the best ever, anywhere." Hart smiled back. "Thanks. I looked for you over in the gym, but you'd already left. And Colleen said you might be here, because I just wanted to thank you, because if it hadn't been for you, we'd have never had a concert. I mean, not like this one." Hart suddenly felt embarrassed, felt another blush coming on. "So anyways, thanks." Hart walked to the desk and held out his right hand, and Mr. Minart reached over and shook it. And that's when Hart saw what was in the file box. A pair of orange-handled scissors with D. Minart written on them, Mr. Minart's Great Musicians desk calendar, a stack of music educator magazines, and 6 or 7 books, each of them with D. Minart scrawled on the cover. "How come you're emptying your desk? You moving to a different room?" Mr. Minart paused. "I won't be back after the vacation. It's because of the budget cuts in the town, so I'm going to find work somewhere else." Hart was stunned. "You mean they fired you? They can't do that. Who's going to teach chorus?" Mr. Minart smiled, held up a hand like a crossing guard. No, not fired. They eliminated my job, and they can do that. And I don't know who's going to teach chorus, or even if there'll be a chorus at all come January. But why didn't you tell everybody? We could have done something, like send letters, or make a petition, or start a big protest, something. Mr. Minart smiled again. That's exactly why the affected teachers asked that this be kept quiet until the vacation. We all had work to do, and we didn't want a lot of pity and worry from everybody else getting in the way. Hart stumped, almost angry. But it's not fair." Mr. Minart nodded. "Couldn't agree more, but that's the way it is. For the moment anyway. Things can change, you know that. Things can change in all sorts of unexpected ways." It was Mr. Minart's turn to hold out his hand. "So this is goodbye, at least for now. It's been a pleasure working with you, Hart." Hart shook his teacher's hand again. Fighting back a lump in his throat, he managed to smile and said, "So long," and he turned and headed for the door. "Hart, hold it for a second. I want you to have this." Hart walked back, and Mr. Minart reached into his file box and pulled out an envelope. "I guess then I can afford to give this up. I've still got another one." He fished around in the envelope and then handed Hart a slightly used number 16 rubber band. Mr. Minart reached into the envelope again and held up the other rubber band. "I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to anyway. Thanks for letting me have this. Turns out it was just what I needed." Hart grinned. "Yeah," he said. "Worked out okay for me too." Mr. Minart grabbed the box off his desk. "I've got to run. My wife's waiting out in the car. Listen, you have a happy holiday, Hart." Hart nodded. "Yep, you too. See you around town, Mr. Minart." The teacher smiled. "You can count on it." And as he followed Hart out of the music room, Mr. Minart turned off the lights. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I wish we were in the classroom so we could have a discussion about it and I could hear your favorite parts. If you want to email me your favorite part, go for it. If not, we can talk a little bit on Zoom about it. See you guys later. Have a good day.